Your college student needs a Roth IRA and should jump into one as soon as they possibly can. Why? I'll explain coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, your college student needs a Roth IRA, okay? And if you've got a child that's in high school that's working, they need to start a Roth as well, okay? Why would I say that? Why would I be so passionate about that? Well, number one, the way the Roth IRA works, it is disproportionately more beneficial for younger people. That's just it, okay? So with the Roth IRA, when you contribute money into it, it does not help you on your taxes unless your income is so low that you get this special kind of tax benefit, tax credit called retirement savers credit, which is my favorite one out there. That's a topic for a different video. I've done some videos on it already, but it doesn't help you on your taxes when you make that contribution. It's after tax money, okay? But then it's invested, and all of the growth within that account is tax sheltered, okay? So the dividends it kicks off, or anytime you sell something and buy something, all those capital gains, that's all sheltered, doesn't land on your tax return. And then when you go to pull that money out, as long as you've had a Roth IRA, any Roth IRA for 5 years, which is, most people aren't even aware that that rule exists, that 5-year rule, because it's obvious, okay? And you're 59 and a half, you pull that money out, it's tax-free. All that growth is tax-free. So think about this, the rule of 72. You put $1,000 in a Roth IRA when you're 18. If that account, earns 10%, it's going to double. That 1,000 is going to be worth 2,000, 7 years later. And then that 2,000 will be worth 4,000 7 years after that. 4,000 worth 8,000 7 years after that. 8,000 worth 16, 16 worth 32, 32, 64, 128, guys. Like this, I've done this before as I go and speak at different colleges and help them with, talk to folks in their investment class and whatever. I always start on the whiteboard sharing the Roth IRA and the rule of 72 and how it grows and grows. And that $1,000, it's very possible, $1,000 put into a Roth IRA at age 18, by the time that person is 67, in that range, okay, in their late 60s, when they'd likely retire because they're going to have a long life expectancy, that money's worth $128,000. You've had $127,000 of growth on that money, all tax-free, okay? Now, obviously, different rates of return or whatever can vary that drastically, but guys, that's huge. It disproportionately, the Roth IRA disproportionately helps folks that are younger. So, your college student needs to have a Roth IRA. Your high school student, if they're working, needs to have a Roth IRA. Now, 3 things that I would point out. Number one, so you're saying that if they're young, they can just contribute? No, they've got to meet eligibility requirements, okay? There is not an age limit on the Roth IRA. You don't need to be 18, you don't need to be 21, you don't need to be 16. No, the eligibility is you need to have earned income. You need to have earnings. You need to have paycheck money, okay? Which is why I'm talking to college students, but also high schoolers as well, because if that's typically when you're going to get your first job. And your first job might not be a real job. It might just be, the old paperboy kind of thing, right? Or I'm working part-time as a cook, or I'm, helping as a server, or I helped out a friend in their business, or at least in our area, I worked on the line in an RV shop in the summer, something like that, okay? So any of that part-time income, that's paycheck money, that's W-2 income, that's earnings, and that makes someone eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. Your contribution limit, same with your high school or your college student, their contribution limit to the Roth is 100% of what they earn, paycheck money, up to $6,000 a year, okay? Up to $6,000 a year. So if your high schooler worked a semester part-time, a couple hours a week, whatever, and makes $900 for the year, they can put $900 into a Roth IRA. They can, okay? They've got to have earned income. Now, what if your son or daughter, your college student, whatever, is doing some side income on the side for cash? Well, if they don't report that money, then they don't have earnings. They don't have earned income. They wouldn't be able to contribute to the Roth. So number one, if it's an actual job for actual money, if it's actual work, you've got to report it, okay? You do. And the benefit is they'd be able to contribute to a Roth as well, all right? Second thing that I would point out is some Roth IRA companies, some or not just Roth IRA companies, but some banks, some institutions, Fidelity, for example, you might need to open a custodial Roth IRA for your child. Meaning, listen, if your child's under the age of 18, we're not going to let them just open an account by themselves because they're not yet an adult, okay? So we're going to need a signer for them, a custodial person, a parent for them. And so Fidelity, I believe, won't even let you open an account, even open a custodial account. So if you're under 18, you can't open it there, but other places you can, okay? And so if you're a college student, is a freshman and under the age 18, or you're wanting to start this habit in high school, love it. I absolutely love it. If they're younger than 17, just know you as the parent might need to be the signer for them until they turn 18, and then they can make it their own Roth IRA altogether. And then the last caveat that I would share is, where do they get the money to fund it? Okay, so most high schoolers or college students, if they're just working part-time or working on the side, that's gas money, or that's shopping money, or that's the money that they have that they don't need to bug you to borrow $20, okay? Or for you to put some money in their bank account so they can use their debit card, right? So typically that's gonna be money that as a parent you might let them spend. If not, then so a couple things with that. I would encourage them, if that's been the case, encourage the habit of saving. Tell them, hey, you've got to save 20% of this income. We're gonna have you put that in the Roth. Just have them do that. That's gonna start that habit of saving, okay? That is going to be way more valuable than all the tax-free growth that they'll get on the money. Way more. Starting that habit at that age of, hey, you gotta take 20% of this and save it into the Roth, that habit, if that gets ingrained in them, that'll be way more beneficial than those tax savings, okay? But if you want them to contribute as much as possible, even beyond the little bit that they can afford to do, you gift them the money. I see this a lot with clients where, yep, my child earned $1,700. They've got $500 that they're going to be able to contribute, so I'm going to gift them the other $1,200, and they're going to make that full $1,700 contribution into the Roth. Wonderful, wonderful. And here's the great news, guys. If any of this resonated with you, you've still got time to make this contribution, or have your college student or high schooler make this contribution for last year before the tax filing deadline. How do you do that? The Roth IRA is something that you can fund all throughout the year, January 1 through December 31st, but you then also have up until the tax filing deadline so into the next year, April 18th for 2021 taxes in 2022. You can fund that Roth IRA for last year during these first couple months of the year. So if this is an opportunity you want to take advantage of, work with your CFP, get the account set up, make sure that you're funding it correctly, answer all your questions, make sure you've got the right strategy, right, for those Roth IRA dollars, and you're going to want to have that CFP work with your son or daughter, that child, so that they understand the risks, but also start to understand the process. That's really going to draw them in to become a lifelong saver, lifelong investor. So work with your CFP on that. We love talking to the kids and helping them get those the right foundational habits to begin with. So if you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with a K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.